Hey! Is this working now? Okay. Okay. I'm gonna turn that off. Something is duplicating my thing. There we go. All right, you guys. There we go. All right, you guys. I am on the quiet end, though. Hold on. Whoa. This might be better, though. So, all right, you guys. Technically speaking, we are live on YouTube as well, on the Designly YouTube channel. Okay. Let me get you a link to that in case you'd rather watch there. Oh. Here we go. There you are, boss. Okay, so it's good to have everyone here. We are going to be going over some After Effects basics, okay? That's what we're going to do. We're going to like it. That said, let's see. If you're able to follow along, that's the best way you're going to learn what we're doing, okay? That's just facts, okay? So, you should have already opened, After Effects here. All right. Let's create a new project. It's going to bring you to a new page, new composition, and then new composition from footage. For today, we're just going to start with new composition. We have a various amount of different settings that we can apply for ourselves. And this is, of course, probably familiar to you if you utilize Photoshop and Illustrator. I'm going to keep things, let's do 1,000 pixels. I think that's probably a good place to start. Now, frame rate. This is incredibly important. Okay? I'll go over this a little bit later once we have something animated. But frame rate will play a huge role into the size of the video that you're posting. Maybe you're wanting to create an animated GIF. How does that change the resolution, file size? Technically speaking, GIFs can only go a maximum of 50 frames per second. And those files are quite large. So we have to ask ourselves right from the very beginning, like, well, what do we want to do with this? Right? What is our end outcome here? Is it a YouTube intro, a Twitch asset, an animated GIF, whatever it may be? Do your informed investigation on what you need to do to have an optimal exported file in that given area. Okay. Down here, we have resolution, which I'm going to leave at, you should as well, half or a third. This is going to cut down on rendering times. I have a pretty beefy PC, so I can, generally speaking, run things at a full resolution. But this is just implying that when you create something, it's going to have lower res so that it renders faster so that you're able to get your project done quicker. That does not mean that when you export, it's going to be at a third resolution. Okay. The start time code. I haven't had any other reason but to have this at all zeros. And then, of course, the duration is how long you want. First thing here is frames. Then it goes into seconds, then minutes, and then hour. Okay. I like to go by seconds. It helps keep things nice and concise. Let's start with 5 seconds, though. So that would be 05. I'm going to keep things at 60 frames. Background color is white. Let's go ahead and create it. The updated view here, okay? Get a note of a few things. On the left pane, that's where all of your files are going to go. If you are working with existing assets or you just created some in Illustrator and you're importing there, that's when you're going to be able to click and drag them from over here on the left. Over down here on the bottom, this is our timeline. All right. Our timeline is incredibly important. This is where, of course, we need to plan ahead. All right. We need to know how long something is going to take to animate. When does it start? When does it end? When does it undulate? When does it change form? Having an idea in your head on when you want that to occur in your mind and applying it to that timeline is crucial. All right. We, of course, have our main artboard, dead center. Right now I have it with a blank background. You can toggle that by going here to toggle transparency grid. All right. And right now you can see that it's at a third resolution. You can also adjust some other settings like color management settings, a grid, and region of interest. I won't be covering those in today's walkthrough, but I'm just wanting to get you familiar with the overall area of After Effects. Over here on the right, this will be displaying information. It's also going to tell you if there's starting to be rendering issues, if things are taking longer than they should. It's going to kind of show like red dots, red characters. Down with audio, not something that I deal with often, unless you're doing post-production with a video that's already been created. And then, let's see. Yeah, over here on the right, I don't deal with the audio all that much, all right? Below that is under preview. This is, again, not something that I typically deal with that often, but it's going to give you some information based off of the files that you have imported here. Effects and presets. Now, this is the big one, okay? This, in particular, will be reviewing. This will be reviewing kind of presets, if you will. If you go on to Fiverr and on Upwork and such, you will notice that there's a lot of kind of copy and paste filters, right? That is due to, in part, of the different effects that you can pull off here. You can pull off a perspective effect simulation, stylizing, which opens up a whole different thing. Plastic to polarized to mosaic to motion tile. Time. Now, time is going to be important for adjusting how something is animated itself. So on and so forth. I actually highly encourage, if you're following along, after you've created a little mini animation, going through these different effects and seeing what they do. Because to be quite honest with you, I have not gone through the hundreds of different effects here. I haven't needed to. But for your sake, you should play around with it because they're fun. Okay? In fact, when you look up a lot of tutorials, they use a lot of effects and expressions. But we won't be covering that in particular in this lesson today. Libraries, everybody has the libraries connected to the cloud. Pull things on over. Tracker, motion source, position. Content aware fill, not something I use. Align, this is important. You all should know this if you use Photoshop and Illustrator. If you don't, it'll allow you to align layers with each other or align with the artboard itself so things are nice and spiffy. Paragraph if you're using text. More text, character. The brushes, and then the paint. Now, the brushes and paint here, from my experience, you're not going to be painting mosaics in After Effects, okay? You're primarily going to be using your brushes for painting out things and masking stuff to fit around particular areas. So just bear that in mind, all right? It's a very, nearing the end of the production type of program. Okay. Up at the top, we're going to be offered quite a few different tools. We, of course, have our regular clicker. We're able to select different objects with this. We then also have the hand tool to be able to move this artboard around. Zooming in. Zooming out. Oops. You can also activate your hand tool by just holding space and clicking around that way as well. Rotate tool. This is not for rotating the artboard, but for rotating objects that are within the artboard. The anchor point tool, probably extremely important. I'm going to show you why here in a bit. It's going to determine how an action takes place with the animation. The shape tool, pen tool for, of course, masking things out. Text, the brushes, clone stamp, eraser tool. If you're working with existing assets of a character, you'd be doing that. You'd be using this as well as the puppet position tools too. Okay. Where I want to start first is with a circle. Great. I have a lot of oops. I have a lot of different options that pull up here. This is more in line with the outline and such, but we're not going to be messing with that right now. I want this to kind of bobble, I guess. But if I want it to bobble, do I want it to bobble from the middle anchor point or from a different position? Okay. I'll show you what that looks like and why it's important to keep track of where your anchor points are. You're going to be going here at the bottom, dragging this down to this very bottom area. Okay. Coming down here to this timeline at the bottom, I am going to hit, let's do S for scale. I am going to disconnect these layers. Now I can independently adjust the axis of these. So, as you noticed, if I, for example, move the anchor point to be at the middle, if I affect the axis in this direction, it's pulling up and away from that anchor point. And the same goes to this as well. Okay. If I put the anchor point down here, things change a bit, right? If I move the anchor point to the bottom, same cinch. Right? Let's say I want this to bounce, though. All right? Let's say we want this to bounce. I'm going to click on this little time button here. It's going to turn blue. Good. And this is our resting position. I'm going to drag this timeline forward. Let's say maybe 35 frames. I'm going to place another keyframe here. I'm not going to adjust it yet. Great. Now we have two keyframes. They're the exact same. But let's move that upwards like that. Great. Wonderful. We now have technically animated something. It's not very... doesn't have very much personality to it, though, right? Not very much. So, in order to fix this, we're going to tweak a few things, right? Let's move this closer. Let's have this snap back. And then have it go towards its regular position. A little bit more personality here, right? It's kind of jiggling a little bit, right? It is still not really hitting our mark, though, right? Still isn't. Depending on the computer that you're using, I use a PC, Microsoft Doohickey. I'm going to hit F9. Well, if you were paying attention there, you'll see that the keyframes here now look like hourglasses. You can also manually select this, right-click, keyframe assistant, and then easy ease. Now it has a little bit more anticipation added to it, right? What that looks like is this. If I go to the keyframes themselves, they're just very angular, flat. If I give them easy ease and go back in, things have now rounded out. We can adjust these. We can adjust these. What you're going to do, again, if you're on this particular page, you're going to click on this graph with the swiggle. You're going to click and drag your cursor over the anchor points of these humps. And you're going to click and drag them. See how this affects it. Well, look at that. There is a lot of personality with that now. Okay? It's stretching and then snapping back. Stretching and then snapping back. Almost like it's doing a little dance. If we do this in the opposite direction, we're going to have a different effect. Oops. It's almost like the reverse. The anticipation is up front. Takes a long time to get up, and then right? It's kind of like a wind up to a karate chop. Right? You can mix and match on what you want out of your animation, right? I might move this to be sharp, keep that normal, but then pull this to lag. We're going to have a little bit of a different look to that. All right. For now, when it comes to bouncy things, I'm going to keep things nice and consistent with this. Okay. If this will let me. Okay. Of course, if I adjust the timeline to have it shorter, it's going to have a completely different feel to it, right? So. If you guys are following along, you should have a similar result. If we play around with, let's say, some effects, we're going to be able to do a bunch of different things, right? Let's do the CC Bend It. This one's pretty fun. Turn it into a macaroni wiggle worm. Let's say at the very beginning, we're going to have this start up here. And then at the very end, or maybe right here, let's see. Whoopsie. There we go. In order to see your effects, by the way, yes, it is. CC Bend It is very helpful, which is why I selected it. Have it come over here, then over here. I mean, this isn't the most perfect shape for this particular thing. A rectangle would be a better fit for this, but I'm just showing you how an effect can dramatically change how things work, right? Right. It looks quite silly, right? Maybe move this. It's currently bouncing, right? It's not. And that's the reason why it looks really weird right here. But you're also able to add Easy Ease to your effects. They're not static. We can go in and see that this is a pretty good elliptical, but I want things to be faster. Now we got something going on here, right? Now this is kind of like swaying in the wind. It's wiggling. This particular effect is going to be really, really helpful for you guys. So, if we're adjusting the type of bend here, we can mirror it as well, right? We can also adjust the anchor point direction of these two, so we're able to do all that. A thing that's helpful to know, all right, it's only working within the bounds of the shape that you've created. So think of it also as like a mask, right? So because I extended this, now we have like a full kind of macaroni that's doing the wiggle, right? I believe if we move the anchor point down, right? You can do all sorts of things with this, you guys, right? If you no longer want to utilize an effect, you're going to click on the effects tab over here and just hit delete. All gone. All done. Gabriel, is there another tool that you wanted to review? We have somebody in the Discord that's asking a potential question. You raised your hand earlier, which is why I wanted to ask. Here, I'll invite you to speak, and you can join it if you want. For those in the chat on YouTube, did you have questions about a particular tool? Oh, Bold is talking about the Saber and effects control. So I don't personally use Saber all the time, but the effects control, of course, it's going to be a similar drop down to the effects tab over here. You can manage your effects, generate immersive video, keying. The keying is really important here. Okay. For keying, this is also very important, okay? Because if you're not a video editor, but you're a graphic artist, and you're getting into this space, you're going to have someone that's like, okay, I need this circle cut out of this green background, okay? It's called keying. Specifically, it's Keylight 1.2. Right now, currently, the screen color is selected as black. I'm going to select the eyedropper tool and select the green. Now it's gone! Yay. Wonderful. Now I can enjoy my video with it keying out everything. I can adjust the gain here as well, but you get the picture. Keylight is very important. Make sure that you have it installed. Bold is asking if there is a plugin like this for Photoshop. Technically, yes. It's called, it's literally called like Color Select or something like that under the Select options. And what you're going to do is basically select that and then eyedrop, similar to what we just did in Photoshop. Select the color that you want axed, and then you're able to adjust the scrutiny on how much of that particular color you want erased. Keylight is a video program, not a photo compositing program. Again, there is a ton of details within After Effects. You might find your own niche to where you don't need to use every single effect and thing that you want, right? But it's good to play around and identify what that is to begin with. I actually want to open up a file that we can take a look at and analyze. Just a moment. Let's see. I actually don't know what this is. Oh. This was something I created for the YouTube channel. It was just a really, really quick animation. Right? It was supposed to go right to the presentation. I think there's supposed to be a sound effect here. For some reason, I can't hear it, though. Oh, I can't find it. Okay. That's why. Another really important aspect of After Effects, if you know you're going to be using After Effects, please create a folder in which everything is housed there. If you are pulling files from Illustrator, and exporting those, put that all in the folder that you intend to have After Effects pull from. Please do that. I did not do it here, which is why there's files that are missing. Okay? Part of the file organization. This is something that you didn't have to worry about with Photoshop because it would just pull, it would embed everything that you put in. But when it comes to After Effects, everything needs to be in the same folder as the file. Okay? If you don't do that, you're going to have the same issue that I experienced here. Okay? So why is this not full screen? Let's pull up another file. I think this is... Let's go to something that's cool. You know what I mean? Ticker. It's great to have you here. So in After Effects, it's not technically called chroma key. It's called, under keying, it's going to be called something else. Oh, I can't speak for Photopea. I'm sorry, my God. That program, I didn't know it existed until you came to the community and started talking about it. I'm sorry. After Effects is very, very different, though. Trust me. Sorry, guys. I thought I had some files on hand that I could just throw up there. Well, actually, you know what? Let's throw the logo up at the main server's profile picture. Yeah? See what that looks like broken down. Because I actually had to make some adjustments to it in order to include Taro and Gato, sorry. I believe this is it right here. No. All right. Pay mind to everything that is on the timeline, okay? We have a few hidden things. We have a few compiled or pre-composed files. And then we have, of course, Taro and Gato that pop up that are waving hello. Right? Oh, no, this is the old one. Oh my goodness. Hold on. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm bad at my job. Embarrassing. It's different because, like, now being put on the spot. Now I gotta find this freaking file. Sorry, guys. Just a moment. No. Maybe it's actually under the mascot. Yeah, it is. There we go. Okay. This is our current... I found it finally. Speaking of organization, I need to really spend a couple hours going through and making sure everything is in order. Anyway, let's kind of review this, right? We have a few different things going on. We have the background. We have the backgrounds, you know, this little gray texture. Those are going to remain static. We then have the D logo. We have two versions of it that are pre-composed. Now, what the heck is a pre-composition? A pre-comp is incredibly important to keep things nice and organized because you will develop files. If you take After Effects seriously, you're going to have like 50 plus layers here. And although the colors here are nice and the naming conventions, it's not always going to do everything for you, okay? If I double click into that pre-composition, I can now see the logo by itself, the animation that's taking place here. You can see it step by step. The brush comes in, curls in. We have an additional brush that also comes in at the same time under a negative, comes into place, and then it turns over. Done. Ticker, yes, this is, I'm kind of going over the basics of, color range. That's what it is, Bold. I wasn't sure if Photopia had that for you. Anyway, the reason why there are two pre-comp Designly logos here is for multiple reasons. Right? We just looked at this one. What about this one? It's pretty much the exact same thing. The difference being the purpose that it serves when we're on this timeline, right? Okay. For example, if I just remove one of them, let's say this one, it doesn't come back. So for the sake of the timing, right? When it comes to Discord, if you're not directly hovered over the profile picture, it's not going to animate. So of course, although this animation is great, the starting frame is all the way back here, right? People that are just scrolling by are not going to know what Designly is by just seeing this by itself. On a tiny screen? Hell no. So what I did was implement an additional layer so that it goes through its fade, and then it kind of goes and starts looping. Lukex, good to have you. We are currently reviewing After Effects from a kind of a beginner standpoint, really setting the expectation on file organization. Right now we're reviewing a live file that is currently in the Designly server. We actually just finished up with a huge contest. I ended up giving away like $400 worth of prizes. So if you want to and join contests like that, you can, well, actually, I think I have to discord.gg/Designly. Copy and paste that. Yeah, that should work. But we have weekly events that we go through, and ranging from master classes like this from a beginner standpoint to next week, where our very own community member Juniper is going to be teaching everybody that attends what it takes to actually start developing your own type fonts and what you need to do to create those, the process, the theory, right? Because if you're a designer like me, you probably have had a hard time doing a hard time what's it called? Locating the correct font. So Juniper's going to be reviewing with us ways in which we can kind of take our own fate into our own hands with that, right? And it's going to add value when you're working with a client and they want a particular feel to their font. Just create it yourself. Done. Don't have to worry about copyright. You're the one doing it. As well as, unironically, I'm having my father come in and speak. He's an older gentleman. He's now retired. He helped raise a multi-million-dollar company, and he has something to he has stuff to say about the entrepreneurial nature of being a freelancer and such. So, all really good stuff. Anyway, done plugging and playing there. I want to continue with kind of reviewing and dissecting this. So, as I was saying, with Discord, when the logo is just by itself, this is what people see. If the animation had started here, people would scroll by and not even know what Designly is because there's nothing here, right? So I had to make the conscious decision to have it fade away and then have it kind of rematerialize again in the original animation. We actually just got a new mascot for the server, which is this little guy here, Taro and Gato. Taro the cat and Gato the bird. Just a fun little thing. Bring a little bit extra personality to the community. But I wanted these two to be represented in the branding. So I went in and started animating on top of what was already created with a particular set of mediums here. And look at all these keyframes. So we have our starting point with position, scale, and rotation. The anchor point is actually somewhere on the edge of this particular bounding box. It's actually right here because when it comes in, I wanted it to have a little bit of a bounciness to it. If it was sitting in the middle, it would be bouncing from the middle and it wouldn't have the same effect that I was looking for. So when I come forward, it's scrunched up a little bit more. This is when things start to change. Going from the scale here, exploding with this rotation. Still kind of tall, still tall, still tall. And then we start to shrink down back to normal size. Shrink down to normal size. and then we start to retract out of frame. And then it repeats. That's what it looks like in motion. There's obviously more complicated files that exist that we could be reviewing here, right? And personally, I don't know how helpful it would be for you guys to look at that, just because this is a beginner lesson. I don't want to overwhelm you guys. For those that are in the chat or the stage, if you have something to say in the stage, go ahead and request to speak, and I'll accept you, and you can kind of say your piece. Juniper is actually in our chat right now, who's going to be teaching next week's lesson on typography. We could review that. We could. Yes, we could. Juniper, would you like to come on and say something about the animation process and the kind of the mindset that you need to have as you get into this particular program? Yeah, for animation. I actually want you to come on and speak because I want to see if Discord actually, if you can hear people on YouTube. Create a lower third animation before with After Effects. It was very fun. Look, After Effects is really, really fun. Stressful. Because there's a lot of computer management that you need to do, file organization. You want to make sure that, as just another tip as well, going to edit and then purge, you're going to want to purge your memory and disk cache occasionally. If you start seeing glitches, if things start kind of becoming jittery and shit, purge your memory and disk cache. Oh. I do not know what you said. Something automatically removing your messages? Trying to see what was deleted there. Anyway, that's weird. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that, but let's get you on here. There we go. Juniper.
Hi, hello.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Wonderful. People on YouTube, are you able to hear Juniper? Maybe I can turn you up a little bit.
Yeah, maybe it's very kind of, I don't know. We'll figure out. It should do it. If audio is on, it should be fine.
Okay, yeah. I think you're just quiet.
Okay. I can bring my mic a bit closer.
And I can also turn you up to like 200% as well.
Oh, perfect.
I think. Wait, hold on. I think that's an OBS thing. Wait, speak.
Hello?
Oh, yeah, but it's a desktop thing. Okay. All right, go ahead and talk now.
Oh, okay. So I don't know. I know you want to be on. I don't know tons about animation. I think this is a really informative process because we're currently learning it in our office. Just so we used to have an animator in, and now we don't. So we're kind of like sometimes have freelancers, sometimes have to do stuff ourselves, just depending on what people do.
Yeah.
But I think it's, I think the biggest thing for tackling After Effects is learning how the interface interacts with the rest of, because it's such a different way of working if you're used to working statically.
Yeah.
So working like Photoshop and stuff, it's kind of getting used to. Actually, my flatmate actually does a lot of motion graphics for a company called Colourfon, and it's about learning, I think, the interface, which I think you've covered really well. It's kind of like getting to grips with the interface. And once you figure that out, it becomes a lot more playful.
Yeah.
Still very stressful.
Yes, it is very stressful.
Still very stressful.
Me personally, Juniper, I don't animate for other people. I used to, and it was really, really stressful being on a deadline with other people, especially since I'm very much passionate about design in animation, so I've taken it upon myself to learn as much as I can. But if you want to take on clients with animation, like, good luck. Like, you better know as much as you possibly can about every single effect in After Effects, or at least know the means in which to find that, because your client will ask you a curveball and you're gonna be like,
Be very good
do
at
I know how to animate
that?
that? Do I actually know how to animate that? Hold on, let me check real quick. Let me check real quick. I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, no, it's very much like that, because we have a very similar thing where it's like, you know what, no, we're just going to give it to a freelancer. We're not going to deal with it. Like, they should be paying extra anyway.
It's super, super stressful, right? I'm actually trying to find some old files that I did.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I've just got to quickly head off because I've got to help my flatmate grab something.
Oh yeah, please do.
Yes. Well, it's been lovely chatting. I'll see you next week. I'll also be in the chat.
Absolutely, Juniper. Thank you so much.
Yes. All right, bye-bye.
See ya. I did this for a streamer once. See if it works. Oh, it did not. Unfortunate. Two files are missing from this project. Lovely, love it, beautiful. Don't ask me why I created this. I created this back in like 2020. Something like this. I don't even know if it'll... It's old, right? I think I also created... okay, I actually didn't know what this file was. Super simple thing, you guys. Creating two objects that close and then open again. Perfect for streamers, right? Switching to a different area, right? And that's kind of the only way that this particular animation could ever really work, right? So, anyway, we're just rambling, going on with reviewing work that I did in the past. We've kind of hit the point where I've kind of covered the very basics of everything that you could see, just to get you started, hopefully. Depending on how the community sees this, I would like to host more masterclasses with varying degrees of difficulty. Maybe the next intermediate, or the next class that we do with After Effects is intermediate, going over expressions and more in-depth analysis of effects, right? And if that's something that you want, please let me know in the server, right? It's going to be helpful for us to know what you guys want out of us. So I'm going to go ahead and start ending things off here. Really appreciate your time spending. And quite honestly, I think even coming to this is investing in yourself a little bit and wanting to elevate your own skill set. So feel free to, for those that are rewatching this particular VOD that are not in the server, discord.gg/designly. We host weekly events, both masterclasses, both paid events, other events that challenge you, so on and so forth, right? But anyway, thank you all for joining today, and thank you so much. Hope to see